Hey everyone, Kat here. I know that this has been a really rough year, especially for people who want to travel, to study abroad, to move to new countries for work. But you know what? 2020 is wrapping up, 21 is around the corner, and I think we're going to see the light at the end of the tunnel pretty soon. And so, with that, I wanted to talk about ways you can get the most out of your stay in Korea. I'm going to focus on the study abroad aspect, but a lot of this is transferable. So, number one, I would highly recommend you try speaking as much Korean as possible for a couple reasons. It builds independence, it lets you have personal interactions, and also it creates these unique experiences you might not get otherwise. Now, I'm not saying if you're coming here as a tourist, you need to study Korean and become conversational. Just basic tourist Korean, the puppies are trying to speak Korean right now, I can hear them, is really going to go a long way. Like, my parents have visited Korea a few times. My dad can do your basic, hello, please may I have. And there was one time where he wanted to be the one who got the hodu gwacha, which are like walnut red bean snacks. They're delicious. He goes up to the lady and he's like, hodu gwacha, juseo. It was hilarious, and she thought it was like, the best thing since sliced bread. Probably mostly it was entertaining her early in the morning, but it's just that's a memory that stands out from 4 years ago almost at this point. So that's the kind of thing. You don't have to be an expert, but if you are staying here long term and you want to integrate into society a bit, learning Korean is going to be pretty darn useful and kind of essential to some extent. So with that, I'm going to move on to the next thing that's pretty student specific, which is number two, joining student clubs. I joined the soccer club and a running club at Yonsei, like my first week in Korea, and it does a lot for you. Number one, it gives you a group of people who you have a hobby in common with. So, sports, my running team and soccer team, that also gives you a schedule. So we're meeting up for practices, we're meeting up for games, we're going to MTs, which are membership trainings. It's basically an excuse to eat, drink, be merry, get to know each other. And so these are the kind of things as a student that get you out of your shell. A lot of international students kind of, stay in a little bit of a bubble and do little excursions here and there, but this lets you really get out, get in there. Fantastic Korean practice, by the way, because at Yonsei KLI, you're learning formal Korean at first, which you should. Grammatically, it's better to do, and also it's better to be polite than to not. But still, you're not learning useful everyday Korean phrases that you're going to hear and need to understand or be used, because it's not like I go every day around saying 안녕하십니까? 저는 기사님입니다. Don't really talk like that. Textbook does though. So number three, very relevant to students and kind of related to the student groups, explore off campus. And this also includes the little area around campus a lot of people hang out at. So if you're going to Yonsei, go beyond Ide, go beyond Hongdae, go beyond Shincheon. There's way more to see. Public transportation in Korea, it's daunting at first, I know it. A lot of good apps now. The subway system is colors and numbers. You can do it. Buses, a little trickier because some of the directions. But again, even if you make a mistake, you can just hop off, transfer, go to the other side. It's okay. You can almost go anywhere in Seoul for less than $4 using public transportation. It'll be fun. And there's tons of places to see. You gotta go to Gangnam. We all remember Gangnam style. Han River, gorgeous. I love Olympic Park. That's one of my favorite places to be. And so these are things that you can get out to see. And if you don't want to see city stuff, there's nature in the city. There's mountains you can climb. There's beautiful parks. There's wonderful botanical gardens, cultural sites, palaces, museums, and all that. Get off campus, get out in the world, which kind of goes into 3.5. Get out of Seoul. I know that Seoul has anything and everything anyone could want. Trust me, I lived there for almost 4 years total, and it's great. But there is so much more to see in Korea. I mean, you can go to Gangwon-do because that has some of the most gorgeous nature you're going to get in Korea. You can go to Wonju out there and see the Hanji Museum, and where else could you go? Chuncheon City. I mean, that's some pretty legit dakgalbi. I'm just going to say right now. You can go down south to Busan if you want like a different city, really different feel to Seoul, Busan. So gotta definitely go. And if you take a train, you can be like, train to Busan. Yeah, we make that joke all the time here. And it's just there's so much more to see, so much more to do. The KTX and the inner city bus system is pretty solid. And beyond that, there's a lot of really cool nature. Gotta go down to Jeju, you gotta hike Halasan. It's a big hike. Start early. It's worth doing. You can go down to Cheonju and check out some great traditional villages and get some pretty sweet bibimbap. So that's really why you should get out of Seoul, because way more to see. All right, number 4, network and explore opportunities. Now, this might sound a little weird. For short-term visitors, it's maybe a little less relevant unless you're planning to come back. But if you're going to be here for a while, really getting to know people, following up on engagements, taking the opportunity to visit unique networking events through school or through industry is, oh my God, this light's going to kill me. Life will go on, is going to get you into some really unique opportunities. So for number 1, I would say is like learning which scholarships are offered when. It is posted online, yes, but honestly, you're able to get into a lot more of a good situation academically if you know the professors you're going to be working with, especially as a grad student or PhD student. I was able to get my scholarship job at Yonsei through networking and getting to know people in the international office. And for those of you who don't know, I used to work at the Yonsei International Office as a scholarship student. So during the summers, I worked kind of as an administrative assistant, and then during the semester, I was at the bilingual help desk, which was really cool, and actually how I ended up meeting Jung, funnily enough. And then there's other just random unique experiences. So, one of my friends knew someone who's a producer for movies, and I got to be an extra in a Korean movie. It's random, but it was super fun. So try to say yes to things, try to get to know people, and make sure things are like legit though. But these are things that if you're getting out there, if you're meeting a lot of people, if you're speaking as much Korean as you can, you're going to get these opportunities, and that sets you up for a really nice future in Korea. So last but not least, number 5, to focus all that down as a student, work part-time legally. There's rules. But working part-time lets you get yourself an income that's legit in South Korea, lets you network again and get to know people, and also it can help you practice your Korean, and it kind of it feels really good. I'm studying, I'm working, I'm setting up a life. So I would say the number one thing for part-time work is, in general, right now, usually you can only start working after 6 months. So this is really for long-term students or the future. And there are some time limitations typically during the semester. So you can't rely on it as your main income. There's still the income requirement and the bank account statements you have to show for your visas. But this is something you can use to kind of pad that and then add on to the fun you can have in Korea. So I hope that these were helpful to you. I know that it could seem like a little bit until you're going to get to Korea for your study abroad, but definitely start planning. You can start looking at places you want to visit. You can start studying Korean. It's just a fantastic time. So I hope 2021 is going to be a much better year than 2020, and that all of you who are planning to come to Korea have a wonderful time and can really get out there and do what you want to do. So until next time, see you.